rough couple of months since October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's June and we're in Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
And where we often have been like kind of amping up and gearing for Pride Shabbats and parades and putting our flag out, although our flag usually flies high all year round.
Mm-hmm.
This year is feeling a little bit different for us.
Yeah. I just have like no like urge to celebrate with the queer community. I just feel so abandoned by them because I'm a Jew.
Share more about that.
Yeah, I just it doesn't feel like a safe space. It's conditional. I feel like it's not what the queer community is all about, where we preach inclusion, and all that I've felt is excluded because I'm an Israeli, because I'm Jewish. And that I'm supporting Israel.
Can you like try to peel back the curtain and figure out, like, Queers for Palestine? How is there such a lack of education and misunderstanding of, as if you identify on the spectrum at all, on that LGBTQ plus queer spectrum, the one place in the Middle East, the one, like literally the one and only place you are accepted, safe, is Israel.
Yeah.
So how is this propaganda being spread and won?
Well, it's a numbers game, honestly. Like, we are, the anti-Israel community is huge. Just like, I'm not even going to talk about anyone in the United States. Let's consider places like Iran, who has a population of 50 million people that gets to disseminate their information the way they see fit, which is typically and mostly anti-Israel. And that alone, that one country that gets to control that narrative to those people, is like 4 times bigger than the Jewish population globally. There are a lot of countries that disseminate anti-Israel information. So numbers wise is like the biggest issue. Now,
but how can a community that's been so,
when it comes to Queers for Palestine, I think that is just a huge bottle or a huge bubble of misinformation. I think, people don't realize that there are no Palestine for queers. There are.
Whoa.
There's.
But like, really?
No, really. Like,
you would be hung. You would be shot.
It's execution. It's not even jailed. Like, you're executed for being not being Jewish, for being Jewish, but you're executed for being gay. Yeah. They have been documented that they kill Palestinians that they assume, they think are gay. There are
I want that to like sink in.
There are Palestinians in Israel.
There are Palestinians who, they could be straight, but if somebody thinks that you're not, you will be executed.
You will be shoved off a roof because you're not even valuable enough to waste a bullet on. You'll be shoved off a roof to your death. There are Palestinian refugees in Israel who have fled the West Bank, Gaza, because they would be murdered if they stayed.
I just don't understand how queers who've been so marginalized and prosecuted and rights stripped and taken away, how can one minority, I mean, this has baffled me in history since the beginning of time, how one minority can turn its back on another minority, mm-hmm. I will never understand.
Right.
Like, make it make sense.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just misinformation. I think people I think there are people with agendas that will sacrifice their morals and obligations and values for this one cause that makes no sense to me. Although I am not celebrating Pride with the queer community, I still have Pride. I'm finding my own community to celebrate with. We have been asked to give the Devar Torah.
So this Friday is the first Friday of June, which means it's the first Shabbat
of Pride Month.
Yeah. And a Devar Torah it's like a sermon.
Yeah.
It's a sermon that the rabbi usually gives. There's one on Friday and there's one on Saturday.
And we've been asked to do this Friday's sermon. And I feel like
about the intersectionality of being both Jewish and queer, and then how it relates to this week's Torah portion or this week's
Parsha.
Yeah, but the equivalent of that
verse. This week's verse.
Yeah.
And the teachings of it. So when we were reading it, it was really interesting because it was like it was so.
It was perfect. It always is perfect. Yeah. Whatever your week's verse tends to really align so beautifully with whatever the current affairs are. And I feel like, this week's Torah portion is all about wandering and then being assigned to a group or a tribe. Mm-hmm. And how fitting is it to be a Jewish queer person
wandering
today?
Wandering.
Yeah. Where do I belong?
Yeah.
What if I don't look like them? Will I be safe?
Mm-hmm.
Taking that conversation and looking in, usually when I think a lot in the Torah, when we talk about wandering in the wilderness, wandering in the wild, it's often perceived and described as like this barren place, which then also has a lot of affiliations with like loneliness and fear and emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity for us is to always look at the other side of that coin. Mm-hmm. And where is there opportunity, and where in that fear can you have growth?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really cool. I'm actually very proud.
Yeah.
This is such a sacred and huge honor.
Yeah.
I feel
like
to be asked.
Yeah. And just riffing off of like what you just said, like this wandering, like what's the opportunity? And I think that what the opportunity has shown us in the last few months is that there's a ton of Jewish queer people that feel like we feel, and they've found us, and like there's like a little bit of hope there. Not that we're like some sort of messiah, but like they're like we exist.
Visibility matters.
And as we always say.
I also feel like there's been even more of an of this place of refuge for just Jews welcoming the Jewish queers.
Yeah.
Like our temple is turning to us.
Mm-hmm.
Educate our families.
Yeah.
Share your story.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. Like our rabbi's like, I'm not gay. I am not going to talk about this as if I know.
Yeah.
And to have people in the community going, you're the expert. You're living it. Share your truth. Here's a stage. Here's a platform.
We want to hear from you.
It's been, I think that's been a really beautiful part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm really excited about, I feel like it's my bat mitzvah all over again. I should probably go home and study and reread that a few times, but I'm really excited to kind of dive into that intersectionality, like
no shit.
Feet first, deep end. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Yep.
Maybe we'll publish it as a blog post once we've shared it.
Yeah. And I mean, who would have thunk, right? This is how we're celebrating Pride this year.
Yeah.
I had so many exciting plans. Like I love, I wanted to have our Pride Shabbat and like have the first Shabbat of the month being like all these queer friends of ours coming together and now I can
allies
and just celebrating Shabbat. And
we literally have a whole dinnerware set.
Yeah.
That we use. Oh my God. It's like Passover, but Pride. Like we have our special.
Yeah. But I had no interest. I didn't even think about Pride Shabbat this year.
No.
I have no interest. And I'm also like really disappointed that like so many of the queer Jewish organizations that we've donated to in the past and supported in the past have failed. Yeah. I'm like not impressed with their response to October 7th.
Yeah.
And it's it's definitely impacting my donation, my giving opinion of them.
Totally.
And there
I
are
get
other
that.
organizations like A Wider Bridge that like I need to be supporting wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
You know?
I also like, it just feels like such a missed opportunity. Like it's summer and we want our kids to experience this, but we also want them to experience this in a safe way.
Yeah.
I want to preserve their childhood. I don't need to explain to them what anti-Semitism is and what homophobia is now.
Mhm.
And not that I want to shield them from that. I think it's important to know your history and your family's history and the trials and tribulations that we've gone through. But they're 4.5 and they're 3.5 and 5. Like they don't need to be. I want the rainbow and glitter. I want the happy. And if we can't provide that for them in a safe way, it's a hit that I'm willing to take this year.
Tel Aviv, they put up all the pride flags throughout the city, and like they made the yellow even wider.
Yeah.
And that just like resonates so well with me. It's like how like we have pride and we're grieving right now. Pride is so different this year.
Yeah.
Just so different. And hopefully next year it won't be. Next year we can celebrate. I hope.